Welcome to the EV Café News and Views. We like to call it News and Brews. 30 minutes of sustainable transport shenanigans with the EV Café crew, the only pundits who deliver their opinions charged to the max. And today's opinions on a sticks, and trust me, they're spicy this morning, are Sarah from Top Women in EV, although she was here, now she's gone. Paul and his cheeky little podcasts, and that shrinking violet that we know as Sam. How are you, dear chaps? Oh, she's back. She's back. Top Woman in EV in the house. Ooh, Sarah Sloman. Come in, Sarah Sloman. Can you hear me? Earth to Sarah. No, we'll go to Paul. Paul, how are you, dear
Hello.
boy?
I'm very well indeed. Yes, kind of slightly exciting, a little bit overexcited. We've been talking today already, commercial vehicle show, but anyway, there we go. So just to cheer Sam up.
And speaking of cheery Sam, how are you, my friend?
I'm okay. Thank you for the entirely inappropriate comments seconds before we went live, which made me laugh. So thanks for that.
I might keep that in and put it in next week's script. Anyway, let's ditch the fossil fuels, grab a cuppa, or whatever you fancy, because frankly it's Friday, right? And plug in to what's been electrifying the clean transport world this week. And coming up, Heathrow's getting a third runway because apparently 2 weren't enough to lose your luggage. We'll discuss the environmental impact and maybe offer some tips on taking fewer flights. We go to the eternal flyer that is Paul for that story. £65 million is being invested by the government in on-street EV charging. Finally, a reason to look forward to parking on the street. We'll explore this part of the charging revolution that we've been waiting for. Or is it just another drop in the electric ocean? We go to Sam for his rage and bile about this, just because it's funny. Electric cars are lasting as long as petrol and diesel cars. Shocking, I know. We'll delve into the data and see if this means an end to range anxiety and the beginning of existential anxiety for petrol car owners. We might go to Sarah for that one, or alternatively just throw it to the wolves. And finally, could sewage be the secret ingredient to sustainable motorsport? We're not kidding. We'll investigate this and our aromatic alternative fuel source. And we'll ask the important questions like, what will your exhaust gases smell like? Interesting. We'll go to Paul for that one, as he truly understands disgusting smells. But before all of that nonsense, Flexis has unveiled sleek new electric vans. But will they spark the green revolution? 2026 is already shaping up to be a landmark year for electric vehicles, with Flexis just unveiling its hotly anticipated range of electric vans. Forget boxy and boring. These futuristic rides are turning heads with their sleek designs and a promise of a greener future. Built on a cutting-edge EV-native skateboard platform and powered by technology from Renault's Ampere division, these vans aren't just good-looking. Flexis is also rolling out a sophisticated software platform designed to help logistics companies navigate the complex world of electric fleet management. The big question, I suppose, is can Flexis deliver on its promises? Will these stylish vans truly revolutionise urban logistics? Or will they face the roadblocks that others have seen put before them? Paul, we've got the CV show coming up soon. Flexis launching new electric vans. We'll also be seeing others like the Kia PPV.
Close. PV5. Oh, PBV, yes, but a professional
indeed.
business van. Yes,
Thank you.
PV5 is the model. Yeah, indeed.
Indeed. What do you think? Flexis, will they deliver?
Well, do you know what? I'm quite optimistic for these guys. There's some stuff going on this year with the market, but you know they're suggesting that they're going to come and arrive and start delivering in 2026. We saw sort of this vehicle at the IA. It isn't the exact vehicle that we saw, and they've really moved it forward. So they're taking the platform from Renault and they're putting their whole software designed vehicle on top of the platform. So there's some really good partnerships. We've got Volvo involved, we've got Renault involved. And so that's the investment scale. They've got a really strong board. There's a lot of people that are really knowledgeable. And it just shows that when there's a bit of collaboration in the market from the big boys, the people that have been here a long time and doing it for a while, you kind of think, well, you'd be backing them. You can't see that the roadblocks are going to get in the way. So I'm really optimistic that they will really deliver something that is going to make an impact.
Now, a little ray of optimism. Sam, do you share Paul's excitement?
Well, I do, because Paul's pretty much read out the WhatsApp message I sent to you lot yesterday. And that is to say, the key difference here is that this is OEM backed, right? And that it makes a big difference to me. So unlike the likes of Volta and Arrival and Canoe and Modec and all those people that have been before, this is heavily backed by two significant OEMs, and for that reason, I think it has a shot. I think this is, for a little bit, it feels a little bit like Polestar to me in a way. Polestar was a brand that we always knew from the very get-go that it was Volvo related, and some of us knew that it was Geely that owned all of it. The point is, it was twinned with something that people found familiar, and I wonder whether this might be the reason why this one might sustain itself, partly because of the backing that it's got with big OEMs, but also that we can associate it straight off the back with things that we are familiar with. And I think from a cultural perspective, that's a good one.
And Pablo, the CV show, we mentioned it briefly.
Yes, we did. We did mention the CV show briefly. I will just say that Volta Trucks, let's not lose sight that they're still here. And they are sort of, still cracking on. So they're definitely not.
Switch out for Teva then. There's plenty of OEMs, unfortunately.
There's plenty of negative, miserable, dour failure and all of that kind of stuff. But there is some really good stuff happening, and Volta are in Phoenix mode. We know. Anyway,
and will
moving
we be
on.
Seeing it at the CV show, Paul?
We will. I believe we will. I believe Volta Trucks will be coming to the CV show, which is really exciting. Although I'm not certain, but I think it is the case. But the commercial vehicle show coming up the 29th and 30th of April and the 1st of May. John has managed to negotiate a maypole for the 1st of May.
And Morris dancers.
And Morris dancers, bells and everything. Bells and hankies, I think, was the phrase that we agreed. You'll hear this on a podcast coming very, very soon. Anyway, poor Mike Costain. And we are the decarbonisation theatre for the commercial vehicle show. So there will be some great speakers coming, from Royal Mail and BT and all of those kinds of big companies. And some of the OEMs are going to come and talk about the startup, scale up and the established OEMs. We're going to really hear a lot of deep insight into the world of electrification. And of course, the EV Café Village will be a celebration of the electric vehicle ecosystem. So come one, come all. There'll be networking events every day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We've got Power Women in EV commercial vehicles on the Tuesday, and small business, and it just goes on. I'll shut up.
No, please don't. I think we'll also be having maypole dancing and teaching you to Morris dance with bells around your ankles. This is going to be a ball. Anyway.
That hasn't been agreed, everybody. That hasn't been agreed yet.
But we're doing it. It's 8 minutes past 10. Just flicked over to 9 minutes past 10. And we haven't even mentioned the news yet. Should we crack on?
Yes.
I thought that was news.
Kinda. But right, let's do the programmed news. The government has given the green light to a third runway at Heathrow Airport. The decision is already causing a stir. The Chancellor says it will boost the economy, but environmental groups and the Mayor of London are raging. They say more flights mean more pollution and that this move goes against our climate change promises. While expanding Heathrow, the government is also trying to make flying greener. A new rule now forces airlines to use some sustainable aviation fuel. This fuel's made from things like household waste and used cooking oil. Airlines have to use a small amount now, with that amount increasing over the next few years. The government hopes that this will cut pollution and create green jobs. Now, obviously, when you mention air travel, our hearts go out to all of those in Washington, D.C. Affected by the recent collision. Dreadful, dreadful thing to happen. And all those living under the guise of Donald Trump and his madness. But anyway, This is a good story in one way, in that it should stimulate the economy. But Paul, we need to get to sustainable aviation fuels. If we're going to put more traffic into the UK, we have to find better, cleaner ways of doing it.
We absolutely do, and I don't think adding a second or a third runway is one thing or the other. What the challenge is find ways to get into sustainable fuel, or ways of making air travel more carbon neutral. I don't know how quickly that's possible, but what we're seeing is that there are already electric planes out there. There are other technologies and other ways of doing things. It's an area of tremendous development, one I'm not close to, but I do know that there is a lot going on, and I'm really hopeful that we can drive down it, because the world will still travel. People are not going to stop going and seeing friends all over the world, and going on holidays and all of that. It's one of the things that we love to do, is travel, go and see new things, new experiences. And I can't see anybody kind of curtailing that. So the challenge is on that industry to decarbonise.
But Sam, you're noted for not taking many flights. Johnny, similarly. How do you navigate this kind of need to be places when you don't like using flights?
I don't know. I try really hard to do as few flights as I possibly can. I did fly last year a couple of times, for very short hauls. In fact, one of them was 30 minutes each way, right? So I do my absolute utmost to do the absolute bare minimum. But horses for courses. It's everyone's different, right? Some people have a penchant for a long haul flight across the world, and I'm not exactly keen on doing that. Maybe once every 10 years, not 3 times every year. So even if we were able to try and have a little bit of a big cognizant of the emissions and reduce slightly, I'm not saying everyone can't go on holiday, because that would be miserable and wrong, but if we all just reduced it a bit, we'd have a huge difference to make. This runway, it's going to be ready, and it's going to be ready in what, 10, 20 years time, at a cost of God knows how many billion. It doesn't feel like it's the right place in the country to put it, in my humble opinion. Having lived in Barnes in central London, needed to turn the TV up and down as the flights go over. I'd rather see it placed in somewhere like Gatwick or Luton or somewhere on the outskirts, and get people in quickly, and put it somewhere that is less disruptive to London as well. But it is what it is.
Don't think for 1 minute I didn't hear it. And I'll be cutting out a little something that Sam just said, and putting it into a highlights reel, which I do every week now. He said, I do my best to do the bare minimum. There we are. We heard it from the horse's mouth. Right, now.
When it comes to flights.
Too late. It's in
Too
the
late.
highlights reel.
That's it.
Now then, shall we do the shout-outs? Let's. Gary Comerford, who we may be doing a podcast with later today, smashed the doors in at 9:46. Good effort, my friend. Gemma Robinson, 9:54, all the way up the north of Scotland. Lovely to see you. Teresa Swift, working with the EV Café now. Lovely to have you in the door at 9:55. Ian Mayhew, morning you lovely lot from a super sunny Bournemouth. Well, how delightful. Little bit of sand there, make a little, what's the thing? Sandcastle. Yes, that. Now then, he's here. It's Peter Heath. He's got
great teeth.
Yay! Lovely to see you. David
you guys
Cornish.
find that funny every week. It breaks my heart. By the way, someone else who's got nice teeth is the wonderful Sarah Sloman, who can't seem to get her internet to work, evidently. But thank you to Sarah for doing such a fine work in the comments. I think every other one is her at the moment, which is fantastic work.
Can I just say, it's delightful to hear Sam interrupting for once. Well done, Sam. I'm glad you've embraced it.
I thought I'd try it on and see what it's like, and I can confirm it's really, really annoying. So I'm going to stop.
Sarah Sloman, if you could send us a picture of your lovely teeth, that would be great. Thank you kindly. Next up, Stephanie P. First time joining an EV Cafe live. Stephanie P.
She's a truck lady.
Now, Stephanie Powers was, of course, an absolute idol of the 80s. I'm sure it's not the same one, but you are more than welcome. Evie Bino, Ron Godfrey, hello, mate. Lovely to see you. Ash Bannister, old Mr. Two Mugs, Dev Chakravarti, DEV,
DEV
in the house. Michael Barton, still in Bristol. Mate, do you ever get out? Seriously? Belinda Guy, lovely to see you. Good morning, Paul O'Brien. Hello, Sarah Kennell. We survived January. Now then, was it a dry January for people? Was it a wet January? Every January is dry for me, as is February, March, and all the other months. But how about you? Did you manage to abstain? Craig Stark, he's got hot chocolate day.
Hot chocolate
Dirty
day.
boy. Dirty boy. Laura Hustwick Wilkes. Hello, you beautiful people. Mark Wynne from a chilly Yorkshire. Sarah Sloman. Hello, you lovely lot. Never mind that. Send your teeth. Alan Akerster. Hello, mate. Hope you're well. Hope all's going okay. Give us a shout if you need anything from us. Steve Warts. Happy Friday. Well, we hope we make it that way. Leon Gomez. Hello, Rob Dustin. You are gorgeous. Toby Hiles. Morning, EV peeps. Kylie Glover from the fabulous Greenfleet. Love you, hug you, squeeze you. Matthew Ling from Norfolk. What? Not Suffolk? What's going on? There's a revolution out there. Ursula Perry, also from Greenfleet. Good to see you as well. We've got the Greenfleet 100 coming up on the 7th of February. I'm hosting. It'll be fab. Thank you. Bob Murphy, hello. Good to see you. And I think, good golly gosh, so many comments this morning. Love what's going on in here. Now then, I think we are done. Jim Blair, right at the bottom. Better late than never. Jim, you're always better. Thank you, darling. Now then, let's crack on. The government has announced a £65 million boost for electric car charging points on our streets. There's also talk of help for people buying electric cars for personal use. Chancellor Rachel Reeves, in a speech about growing the economy, said her government's National Wealth Fund will invest £55 million in a company called Connected Curb. You may have heard of them because we've talked about them a lot, which builds charging stations. Well, they don't actually. They put in charging infrastructure on the streets. Another 10 million is coming from Aviva investors. This is one of the first investments from the National Wealth Fund, formerly known as the UK Infrastructure Bank. Pavement charging, Sam, it will never take off.
Well, listen, Connective Curve is a great company. Chris Pateman-Jones, who runs it, is a fantastic friend and colleague, and I wish them the best. You know, they've done very well to secure the money. I've never said street charging is a complete waste of time. I just don't see it as particularly useful long-term gain. 65 million is a good number. It's an absolute drop in the ocean relative to the billions that have been spent already, however, in public charging. So it's good. I hope a lot of it goes to actually putting chargers in the ground and not fighting through red tape and bureaucracy with councils. But we'll wait and see. So, you know, it's a good sticky plaster, but I still stand by the fact that street charging has got a limit. It's got a shelf life, because once we've got EVs everywhere, there won't be enough street chargers to charge them all. So it's very good. It's not a bad thing, but I'm not jumping up and down with excitement either. Sorry.
Excellent. Nobody expected you to, Sam. That is why we went to you first for questions or for comments.
Paul says everything's brilliant anyway, no matter what it is. So whatever he's going to say next is going to be positive, because it always
Paul,
is.
pavement charging, is it brilliant?
Well, I'm just basking in the wonderful compliment that the only things I ever say are positive. That's very good, because
Great,
we know, which would you prefer, and put a comment in everything positive or everything negative. I mean, you choose. It's between. It's between the two. It's one or the other. There we go. So put it in the comments, everybody. So street parking is very valuable. In Bedford, we have a lot of connected curb parking around Russell Park and other areas of Bedfordshire, if you know it, and it's being used quite regularly by residents that don't have the opportunity to park. Now, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect solution, but we've always agreed that it's a silver buckshot, not a silver bullet. So it's part of the solution, and it will be much more than a sticking plaster, because it will stay, because it will form part of the infrastructure that gets us from ICE to EV or zero emission.
Rob Dustin gets the point. Raising the funding is the big news and sets a precedent for further funding. I think he's right, and it gives some certainty in the market. Dev Chakravarti says positive Paul. Well, I'm Jolly John. What's Sam? Just asking. Put it in the comments. I still like Sammer from Gritty. I think that was my
Sammy,
favourite.
Sammy from Gritty, yeah. Oh, Sammer from Gritty.
Tell you what, though, in all seriousness, let's try and mark this as a time where we know this has happened, and then we'll look back in 2 or 3 years' time and see what happened with the money. Hopefully, it's all positive, but let's just see. Let's just see how far it went and what it was able to deliver in real world. Because at the moment, we're talking about a speculative large number. It sounds great, and I'm sure it is, and I hope it is. And to Paul's point, I hope that it generates some good EV electrification for people. But let's see.
Michael Barton wins the internet today. He wins the internet without both positive and negative. Batteries would never work. Love it. Absolutely love that, Michael. Genius. Absolute genius. Now then, new research suggests that electric cars are just as reliable as traditional petrol and diesel vehicles. A major study found that electric cars on Britain's roads last nearly as long as their petrol counterparts, or even longer than diesels. Experts say this is because electric cars have fewer moving parts, making them inherently more reliable. Whilst this has been suspected for some time, this new data finally confirms it. So, a car's a car. What makes it go really is irrelevant. Yes, Sam?
Well, I'm curious about this because the concept of making a comparative of one against the other is not fair, actually, I don't think, on the EVs because of the battery component, which can be repurposed for some other reason. Mm-hmm. So I would like to see this a little bit more detailed that says, well, the vehicles can last this long, but as you rightly said, John, the fuel is burnt and it's gone in an instant, whereas the batteries can be repurposed for another 10 or 15 years in a storage facility and then recycled and repurposed back into batteries again. So how does that affect the longevity of the vehicles by delineating between those two things? So it's a good news story, isn't it, right? But I think it's actually probably a little bit better than that when you break it down a bit more.
I think so. And Craig Stark, Smiley Sam, are you tuning into the right programme? What?
Am I glitching?
Paul, anything on lasting longer?
Well, yes. I think it's important.
Really?
Anyway, moving on. So the thing is here, right, because we worry about vans and trucks. Trucks already have to last a decent amount of time, but what we don't sort of factor in is like when an engine's over, it's over, right? It just goes in the bin, and a lot of the time that is exactly what happens. But even when a battery does degrade a little bit or doesn't work quite right, you can still repurpose the vast majority of it. We know that much of the battery can be recycled completely, and as Sam points out, being repurposed. Reliability is absolutely essential for the commercial vehicle world, and I truly believe that electric will make, as time goes by, as parts come in more free availability and there's less challenges to overcome in terms of when a breakdown occurs, which will all come as part of being normal. Electric vehicles will be so much more commercially valuable in that reliability and uptime utilization kind of way. So it's really cool.
Well, if someone could put Amy Carter's comment up on the pop-up.
Yes.
Yeah, just go in there. Right, let's go deal with Amy first. Since 2021, we've had 40 DAF EV trucks on UK roads. They've collectively covered 1.5 million e-miles with zero traction motor failures. Show me a combustion engine that can get anywhere near it. You're quite right, Amy. And Leo Pickford, great news that we have 65 million for on-street charging. Next, we need to raise some focus on making it easier to put chargers into flats, car parks. We need to make all of this stuff easier. We're making life incredibly difficult with all the rules that we have to have just because somebody doesn't want to make a mistake. We need to open these things up a little bit. I don't have a great deal of sympathy for Donald Trump, but in making things easier, we make greater progress faster. Now then, let's move on. Because racing is going green, and a group of engineers might have found a surprising solution: sewage. They've built a prototype race car from sustainable materials that runs on fuel made from treated waste water. The process uses microbes to break down waste, producing hydrogen, which I know Sam loves, which then powers the car. This project is a collaboration between the Warwick Manufacturing Group, including students from the University of Warwick and Severn Trent water. This is brilliant. I love this. This is a sort of innovation that we need to get at Carfest and other shows that we're at to really showcase the art of the possible. It may not be commercially viable. It may not ever make it to a track. But this sort of stuff is how you unlock the secrets of a life and you make things that little bit better. Paul, hit me with some positive.
I'm going to go to Sam because Sam's nodding and vaguely, sagely. I'm going to Sam.
Deferred.
Well, that's very kind of you, Paul. I'll be brief then. Last week, John. Yeah, I know. Last week, I was doing a photo shoot at United Utilities because they've just their 4 EHTVs through my project have just landed and they're now up in operation. And the phraseology they use is "powered by poo," because that's exactly what they're doing. They're taking the gases from the waste facility and converting that into energy, which then goes into their trucks, which is the same principle. This is probably a touch more high octane as far as the performance is concerned, I suspect. Nevertheless, it's the same principle. So in a commercial environment, this is already happening. So this is on one extreme, you've got whizzy fast cars, and the other one, you've got massive trucks, but the principle is the same. So yeah, anything like this that is being creative and innovative in finding ways of recycling waste to create energy, what's wrong with that? Brilliant.
That's Sam being brief.
Who is he and who's got Sam Clark? What? Positivity oozing from every pore. And Paul?
Well, there you go. I've got to be negative then. I think this is...
Very good.
Bleep. No, I think this is brilliant. And I think this is the kind of innovation that gets you really excited, that people take a completely different look at things. I mean, I've heard of nanotechnology. I don't even understand it, but it's all to do with algae and all of that kind of malarkey, that you can create fuel out of it. And it is possible. I actually know a company very locally to here that are trying to do that. And so you sort of think, well, there is so many options that are coming. And I love that innovation, and we're looking forward to celebrating that at Carfest. But other shows are available, of course. But Carfest, where they're very petrol head minded, and this could sort of draw them away from that. It's quite exciting.
Toby Hiles, he thinks you've been doing a photo shoot with CNA, if you remember them, Sam.
CNA, I don't know what it is.
You don't know what it is? Oh dear, Google it. It's an old men's shop.
It's what poor people used to go to. Amy Carter, the emissions from some of her colleagues. Amy Carter, the emissions from some of my colleagues could definitely power a race car. You're not alone there. Dev Chakravarti, I hope they don't crash it, otherwise they'll be in deep shit. And Sarah's aware of a laboratory near her that makes aviation fuel from bugs. We need to find out about that, Sarah. Pop round, see what you can find out, and report back next week. Thank you for joining us all. Now then, that's the show wrapped up. Got any squeaky clean transport PR or news nuggets? Oh, he's off.
I've just got to answer a question, because is the H2 burned or passed through a fuel cell? Yes, a microbial electrolysis cell is essential. Something. Yeah, anyway, yeah. So yes, it's passed through a cell.
Microbial, dear.
Microbial.
Right, okay.
That's what I said.
Who's that?
Right,
I haven't met Mike. Where is it? It's the Crobial.
Right. Are we done?
Yeah, we're done. Sorry.
May I? You're finished now? Okay.
Yeah, carry on.
Right, that's the show wrapped up. Got any squeaky clean transport PR or news nuggets that you'd think we'd froth over? Slide into our DMs at hello@evcafe.org. Big shout out to the whole crew, and that includes everybody at home. Hasta la vista, baby, from me, and a sayonara from them. This has been an EV Cafe production because, well, who needs boring news? And we are just fire! We are powered by the awesome AA, Webfleet, Europcar, Iveco, Drax Electric Vehicles, Spiri, All-Star, Schneider Electric, Dynamon, EV Blocks, and the legendary AW Energy. Basically, the A-team of clean transport. We're the EV Cafe, and we're all about making clean transport the cool transport. Stay safe. Oh, bollocks. Stay safe. Stay well.
Put your teeth in.
Stay safe and stay well wherever your electric chariot takes you. Catch you next Friday or before that on our website and social media, because with the EV Café, it's on. We'll see you later. Bye!
Bye!
Bye.
Didn't answer that.
A positive.